Again later. Can't see.
Right, everybody, welcome to the Hack, which stands for the Enza Hack. So this event is mainly focused on open source project contributions, and we are very happy to bring to you a lineup of amazing speakers that will focus on APIs, Git, how to land a six-figure job in the tech industry, and then what it takes to be a full stack developer, as well as some resume reviewing that will go on. So we really hope that you can take part in all those workshops because it's really beneficial. And at the same time, create experiences and then make friends, and then most importantly, take back some important values of how to be, ethical hackers and how to be a good communicator in the field of tech. And right now, I'm going to introduce the team. My name is Ezekiel. I'm one of the organizers of the event. And then we have Yusuf Kudus, which is also one of the organizers. Can you raise? Yep. Okay. And then we have Ryan Teo. Can you raise your hand, Ryan? All right. So that's Ryan. We have Arushi Sharma. Yes. And then we also have Alvin and Suyen. And the other person that we really want to introduce is Yusuf Hello. Can you just raise your hand? Yes. So there you go. Our amazing lineup of team that bring this event to life, and we are excited for the next 36 hours. And right now we're gonna hand it to Yusuf Kudus to talk about uh, the event as well as the workshop speakers.
Hello, everybody. Let me take a moment to share my screen. Does everybody see that okay? Okay. So welcome to DA Hacks. This presentation is mainly for us to tell you what this event is all about, so we're all on the same page, and for you guys to be able to ask us questions and concerns you may have about this event. So if you guys have any questions, hold it off to the end, just in case your question is answered throughout this presentation, and let's get started. Okay, what is DA Hacks? So DA Hacks is not like a normal hackathon. We promote collaboration and not competition. So this isn't a type of competition you can win or lose. We are a Hacktoberfest event, and the philosophy of Hacktoberfest is to contribute to positively to open source. So that is the main goal we're going to be doing. We're not going to be working on a individual project on our own. The goal is to make as many contributions to open source as you can. So let's talk a little bit about what open source is. Open source essentially is software that anybody can inspect and modify. Open source software is developed through a community of people who donate their times and skills to enhance and improve some software that is open source. And open source is accessible to all people. So that means that you don't have to be like an expert in a particular language to be able to contribute to open source. Open source is not all about like adding a whole entire new software into an open source project. It can be as simple as updating correcting a bug or updating the documentation of a program. So it is accessible to people of all skill levels. And the most popular platform to contribute and deal with open source code is GitHub. Now, you don't need to know how to use Git and GitHub prior to getting into this event. We have a lot of resources to be able to teach you how to use Git and GitHub. We have a speaker that'll talk about intro to Git. We have some we have some staff that are going to help you deal with questions you have about Git or problems you arise. And we also have some resources on our website and videos to teach you introductory Git. So it's something you don't need to know before doing this event, but learning version control and GitHub knowledge is incredibly important in your career as a computer scientist. It is something you're going to be dealing with if you're working on big projects with teams. So it is something you're going to have to learn eventually, and I hope this event gives you the opportunity to be able to learn those skills. And it's not just about coding. Throughout our hackathon, we have some amazing speakers from the industry talking about some interesting topics. Here's a list of some of the topics we're going over. First, we have the intro to Git, which is something I would recommend people who haven't used Git or GitHub or aren't that familiar with it. We have intro to API, prepare for a career in tech, how to be successful as a full stack developer, networking and resume building, and real world AI. So if any of these topics interest you, I would recommend that you guys join these speaking events and participate, although they aren't required, but I think these are really interesting topics that you'll learn from. Here is some of our speakers that are going to be speaking. Again, they're from the industry, although they, I think one person is not on this list because they joined after we made this flyer. But yeah, so these are the speakers. If you want the full schedule of our speakers and what topic they're going to be talking about and what time, and also the Zoom links, we have the schedule on our website, and we also have the schedule on our Discord, and on Discord we also have the links to the Zoom meeting. So yeah, and now I'm going to be passing it off to Ryan, who's going to talk a little bit more in depth on how to actually participate in the event.
All right, so give me a second here.
Sure.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yusuf, are they able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So the first thing you gotta know is to win a t-shirt, or you can choose to plant a tree, you need 4 pull requests. It has to be approved, and there's no strict deadline that you have to finish it by this weekend. You have until 31st of October to make all your pull requests, even if they're not approved yet. As long as they're made within the month of October, they'll be counted. And for pull requests, you get to choose between a t-shirt or plant a tree, and then they'll be sending some stickers and stuff and other stuff from the sponsors, but I'm not sure what they'll have. So to track your pull requests, you have to go to the official website and sign in with your GitHub. So I'll show you right here. Click on Start Hacking and then sign in with your GitHub. I already did that, and then it'll prompt you to put your personal details in, and you'll have to watch a mandatory video that goes through Git and stuff like that. Okay, cool. Oops. And then you can choose any project as long as it has the Hacktoberfest tag. So I'm just gonna go over a random project, and then you can look over here. Look over here, it has the Hacktoberfest tag. So this is just to prevent people from spamming. So this year, what they've done is they've allowed projects to opt into Hacktoberfest so that people don't just create a random repository and then just contribute to it and then just get the free t-shirt by not really doing any contribution. Okay, cool. So some of you haven't found a project, so I'll be going through a few places where you can find a project. The first way is to go over to GitHub and search by topics Hacktoberfest. So these are all the stuff you can contribute to. And you can search by language. I'm just going to do C++ here. So look for something that interests you. And something that you are passionate to advance, help them advance in. So let's see. Yeah, and make sure whatever you choose, make sure they have the Hacktoberfest tag. Cool. These are other places where you can find. They've compiled sources of some good first issues. You can take a look at it in your own time. I won't go over it here. Up for Grabs is pretty much works the same. So I have a few recommendations for you guys. So for Java people, you guys can work on JUnit. I already have it open here. So it's a testing framework to test your Java code. So and it's opted in for Hacktoberfest. So take a look at it. I think it shouldn't be too hard. You can work on the documentations, making some small changes. Oh, and if you want to look for stuff to work on, click on issues. So these are all the bugs or feature requests, some documentation fixes, typos that you can work on. Scroll through them. One way you can find stuff to work on is from sort by label, and then you can look at them. So click some of them, name them up for grabs. Some of them name them good first issues. Some of them name them beginners. So for JUnit, they named it up for grabs. So you can look at, these are issues that are supposedly easier for first timers. Cool. For C++, you can do 30 seconds of CPP. It's our, give me a second here. Yeah. So it's a library of algorithms that code snippets that you can reuse anywhere. So C++ is a really verbose language, and you don't really want to rewrite the code all the time. So they've compiled stuff that you can reuse all the time, logic that's reusable. And then, so you can take a look at it and see where you can contribute. So projects like this need a lot of documentations. So if you're looking for somewhere to start, you don't really know how to code or something, look at the documentation fixes. Last one for Python, it's Plotly. So it's a data visualization tool. It's really cool here. So you can take a look at the issues. They have a bunch of issues that you can work on. And yeah. So that's it on my part.
So now we should open it up to questions. So if you have any questions or concern or want to know how to participate best, feel free to ask in the chat or in person. One thing I want to add that wasn't talked about in the presentation is that we have different processes to ask us for help when you're dealing with issues. So first of all, if you have like simple questions or questions about like definitions or things like that, you should ask it in the lobby or in the help section and talk with peers and stuff. Things for quick answers, we can answer it there. If you have a more specific issue or an issue that's going to take more time, we have a Google Forms that we're going to post, and each time you have an issue, if it's a code issue or a GitHub issue you can submit it to us, and we're going to look over it and review it and like contact you individually and see if we can work with you on it. We can't promise that we'll be able to answer all your questions, but I think that's a good process. Like probably most questions, especially dealing with how GitHub works, we'll probably be able to answer it. So that's a process of dealing with this. Yeah.
So another method you can ask for help is to go to the lobby on Discord. Like we have a text channel called lobby. So basically anyone can just chat there, send useful resources, or you can just ask someone, and if someone's free, they'll look over it and they will answer your questions, hopefully. But if that doesn't solve your question, we go back to the method Yusuf explained just now, which is the Google Form method, right? So you could put in your request and all that, and then we will reply with a Zoom link, and it will bring you to a breakout room, and then we will answer your question if it's that severe, right? So if it's really severe, we will talk to you. We'll have someone to go over your your IDE or whatnot. But if it's not that complicated, again, go to the lobby or the help center. Pretty sure someone will reply you, and we'll have staff stand by, and then we will just answer your questions. Thank you. So yeah, while you guys are still here, feel free to connect or ask questions because we'll be here until 10. So I'm sorry, until 11, and then we will move on to the next agenda.
Yeah, I got a question. Are those projects labeled by difficulty?
So projects are not labeled by difficulty, but some of the issues are labeled by difficulty. Yeah.
And how do we
So,
find
yeah.
that out? Yeah, I was kind of late. Sorry.
Nah, so if I can share my screen here, give me a moment.
Ryan, you're muted.
Yeah, so can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so when you're in the project that you're looking for, that you're interested in, so go over to issues, it's over here, and then search by label, and then look for good first issues. So every project names it differently. So in this case, they named it good first issues, and then they want help for documenting their code. Another label you can do. Another label you can do is Hacktoberfest. So they didn't name. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so Hacktoberfest. That's another one you can search for from. So yeah, so every project names it differently. So in this case, 30 seconds of CPP names it beginner friendly. So yeah, these are tags you can look out for. Yeah.
And are we doing like how does the project divvy up? Is there a project manager?
Oh no, so you choose a project that you want to contribute to. So you find a project that you think interests you, and then you help them advance their project by contributing to their code.
There's like it's just collaboration. There's no project manager or anything.
The person who controls the main branch of the GitHub, they will decide if your code, if they want to accept your code. They're going to look over it. So obviously they don't want random people like going into their code and possibly breaking it. So when you submit a pull request, that's basically asking whoever owns the repository to check your code, and you're basically requesting that they accept your code or whatever you want to update. So they're going to look over it and they're going to see if it works well and it doesn't like mess anything up, and then they get to choose to merge it to the main branch. So once they merge it, then whatever you updated will be a part of the main repository and the main code. So whoever runs these individual projects, probably if you go to a project, they have listed whoever runs it. They are going to look at all the pull requests and decide which ones they want to accept.
And then is there a way we have like how do we do like small group? We want to talk to other developer or the project manager, or do they break us up? Is there a way to do video or talk to them, or do we just email them, or how do we contact these people?
So the way it's structured is that they've put up issues on GitHub that people can work on, and then so when you submit it, you'll interact with them. So there's no direct interaction, but when you submit your request or you open up an issue, so you'll contact them. Yeah.
Okay, so they'll contact me once I submit an issue, and
So I think there's a little bit of confusion. So there's no like the thing with open source is there's no individual contact with contributors. So a person who makes a repository or project, he puts it on GitHub. GitHub, for those of you not familiar, it's kind of like a social media where people post and host their own codes and programs. So people have that, and they're going to put issues they have with the code. Sometimes the issues they have won't be listed. So if some people like find their own things they want to update, or the person who created it will post issues and features they want to add to the code. And so what I would do if I wanted to contribute to a code, I would fork it. So I would copy their code into my repository. I would make changes and updates to the code. And when I'm done, I'm going to make a pull request. So I basically tell whoever created it, I made these updates to your code, and do you want to accept it? Then they're going to look at my code and they decide if they want to accept it or not. So you don't need to like interact with them or like message them or coordinate. So it's basically you choose and volunteer your time to make changes to the code, and they choose whether to accept it or not. So yeah, that's if you could,
The
if you
change
know them.
manage.
Sorry.
Basically, they do the change management. They decide if they want to accept the code into their own code. Basically, they're the one in charge of the change management. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, they decide that if you somehow know them and want to talk to them, like there's nothing against contacting them, but normally that's not how it works, and they're getting a lot of pull requests from a lot of people. So usually they decide. But however, I don't believe this event requires you to make any merges. So if you merge, if the guy who owns the repository doesn't accept your code, that's not hurting you in this event. Ryan can confirm that.
Yeah, as long as it's not marked as spam, it'll be considered.
Okay, and then this is another question. No NDA. We don't need to sign any NDA, right?
No,
Okay, thank you.
it's open source.
Yeah, so open source, the reason it's the cool thing about open source is that it's public. So all this code is up there. Anybody can Google it. Anybody can decide to work on it. Nothing about the code that's open source is like secret or anything. So any more questions? Those are good questions.
Yeah,
And then we have speakers. When's the speaker?
Yeah, we have a schedule on our website and also on Discord.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if you're in our Discord, if you go to #schedule, it'll have the list of speakers. We also have the Zoom links for those speakers and the times and the speaker names. So yeah, those are the, you're not required to go to any of them, just whichever ones you think are interesting and you want to hear about them. But it would be really great if you guys go to them.
And just in case, what if we need help with our project? What do we do?
We have, well, first you can like talk in the lobby. If it's a simple question that people can give quick answers to, ask those. If it's a more like complicated problem, I'll take more time. I don't know if we already posted it, but we will post a Google Forms where you can tell us about your problem, and then we'll go through with it and go one by one with people who request problems, and we'll try to work with them on it. The reason we're doing that is because we don't want to be overwhelmed by people giving us like all their errors and stuff. So we're kind of processing it through submission. So if you have a big issue, submit it. If you have issues that can be quickly answered, or if you don't know they could be quickly answered, just ask it in the Discord and somebody could give you an easy answer. If it's more difficult, we'll tell you to submit it.
Include helping with the bug error? Does this include that?
Yeah, we can't guarantee that we'll be able to solve your like code if your code isn't working or anything. We can like take a look at it and see if we can. But yeah, we can. If you want us to look at it, we could. But yeah, we may or may not know how to solve your bug or anything.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, but I think GitHub issues, because GitHub is actually not super complicated to use, and most of us have experienced it. So we can probably, if you have big issues with that, we most of the time know what the issue is.
Tutorial for GitHub.
Yeah,
I got it.
Yeah, is anybody reading the chat? Is there any chat questions?
Yeah, there are no chat questions as of now.
Okay.
If you didn't receive an email from NLH saying that you've been checked in, I will need your names that you registered with on the website so that I can check you guys in. So just send me a private message.
Hi, I have a quick question. Um, so I'm having trouble getting started with VS Code and Git. So I'm kind of following along with the intro video that they had. So I'm trying to import Git and it's not working.
Yeah, sure. I can work on that.
Yeah, can you just like reiterate the steps again? Sorry.
I can help you with that, but we can do it off recording.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to a breakout room? I can bring you guys there, and so the rest could be here. How about that?
Yeah, that works for me.
Any other questions?
Yeah, what if we need to take a break? How do we get back to this Zoom?
The Zoom is not, or like certain Zooms, you will just like click the link again and you'll be let back in. But like for the event in general, there's not like a continuous Zoom. It's kind of like an online class. It's asynchronous. You work on the event. The Discord is there for you guys to like have the community there to help you and get you through it. But the event, it's like the entire event, there's no like scheduled time you have to be on or anything. So I know a lot of people are not like in different time zones. So don't be worried. Like if you don't participate at this hour, like you won't be in the event. There's no issue like that. Although you may miss some speaking events that you may be interested in. So yeah. So the speaking events are completely optional, but they're the only thing that have like time requirements. And on the schedule, the event ends at sort of like 3 or 4 on Sunday. And when we say the event ends, Hacktoberfest is still continuing, so you can still participate in Hacktoberfest, but just like we won't be as involved in after Sunday. So. And if anybody has concerns about teams, teams are not required. If you guys want to form teams, you can discuss it in lobby and people introduce themselves. So you can like, if there are people with skill sets you kind of want to borrow, you can private message them and see if they'll help you. But teams are not required. Teams can be as like big or small as you want. So yeah, don't worry too much about teams. So if we don't get too many questions, maybe in like 5 minutes, we could end the intro meeting early so you guys can get started and we can start helping people with code and stuff. So yeah, we'll be on after this. The first speaker is at 1. And the first speaker is intro to Git. So if you are not experienced with Git, you have questions, go to that event. We also have on our website, on the resources tab, if you click that, you're gonna get scrolled down to a bunch of videos which kind of teach you guys how to set up Git and GitHub and work with that. So yeah, so don't worry, like Git is not that complicated to use or set up. It just takes, it looks kind of confusing, but it's not too bad.
I have one question, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
So for the having a pull request, having a four pull requests total. So if I make a new edits on their code, and if they not accept my request, then does that not counting as my pull request?
A pull request is literally just the request itself. So DA Hacks considers just the act of making a pull request, except as Ryan said, if they consider it spam, or they think you're just making a pull request by changing nothing like at all, like adding a comment for no reason, maybe they won't accept that. But if you make any like good faith pull request, they'll accept it. It doesn't need to be merged for you guys to be accepted. And again, I think if you make 4 pull requests that are like valid pull requests that they accept, you can either plant a tree or you get a Hacktoberfest shirt, which is always nice. But yeah, I don't think you need a merge for them to accept it.
I see. And I kind of want to get a help by finding a Hacktoberfest the tag in the GitHub.
Mhm.
So if anyone, you guys can help, that would be great.
Yeah, Yusuf, do you have the link? Other Yusuf, do you have the link for the projects?
Yeah, I'll send it right now.
Okay. And if you guys don't like the projects that we provided, if you go on GitHub, I'm sure if you search Hacktoberfest, it's going to come up with a bunch of projects that, yeah, like he linked it in the chat right now. These are a lot of the projects that Hacktoberfest accepts, and you guys can pick whichever one you guys are interested in. The ones we provided are just ones that have a lot of beginner-friendly content, because I know a lot of us aren't super familiar with open source and like making contributions. So a lot of these are beginner-friendly. So yeah. And there are difficult ones. If you guys are really experienced and you guys want to make some really cool contributions, like adding like a whole new feature or something, or like fixing a error they have, then you guys can do that. That'd be really cool.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, contributing to open source looks really good on like college applications and stuff. It makes you seem like, instead of just making your own project, if you donate your time and stuff and skills to somebody else's project, it kind of seems like a little kind of philanthropic. So I think it's really good thing to do. And for those of you who've never used GitHub, it's almost like a resume for the code you have. Sorry, my internet went out for a sec. So you guys can work on a big project together, have your code not conflict, and so you don't have issues, and you guys can like work on like, some people describe it as like Google Docs for code. I guess that's a good way of thinking about it. But GitHub is just one, it's a platform to be able to do that more easily. So you don't have to do it all through command line. And also, a lot of employers and stuff, when you have projects, you put it on your GitHub. It's almost like your LinkedIn page, but it's just like hosting code projects you worked on. And it's kind of, people look at that and see what projects you've worked on, how you've contributed. It's kind of like an addition to your resume. So again, I think I said this in the presentation, but learning how to use Git and GitHub is very important as you're like in your career as a software engineer, because it's going to come up again and you're for sure going to need to know how to use it. So I hope this event makes you learn how to use it now, as opposed to like being forced to use it like when you really need it.
So in that context, just real quick, so is Hacktoberfest the only opportunity during the year to contribute that way, or is this like there are other year-round things that go on?
If you're talking about open source as a concept, open source is something you can contribute literally anytime. Like if you, like you're in November or something and you see like a project and you think you can make improvements to it, you can fork it, you can copy it, update the code, make a pull request, and they can accept it. Even like year round, there are a lot of projects where there are a lot of open source projects you can look up on the internet, and they have issues they want people to work on, things like that. So open source is something like year round is available, you guys can contribute to. As for events, I'm sure there are events where you can contribute to open source. I think Hacktoberfest is the biggest one because it's part of MLH, who does like the main hackathon stuff. But contributing to open source, you can do anytime. There are a lot of projects you can Google that want people to contribute. If you just Google like open source projects on GitHub, there's a lot of stuff there. And you can look at, again, they're tagged with different levels. They're like most projects have beginner friendly stuff. They have more advanced stuff. So yeah, you can do this anytime.
Got it.
Yeah, thank you for the question. We have 20 minutes left in the intro meeting. So if people don't have questions in a few minutes, we could end early and get this started. If any leaders want to say things that they think are important for them to know, that's good too.
Yusuf, there's a question in the chat.
Are pull requests on my own repository account? They don't, because like Ryan said, they usually have a tag for Hacktoberfest, and Hacktoberfest has like a big list of approved repositories that you can contribute to. Because again, they don't want people to do that, like making like some random project, making pull requests and like winning a shirt for free, because like anybody can do that. So they do have, I think there's a link in the chat that Yusuf sent that has the projects that Hacktoberfest approves of. And yeah, so, and also in general, you don't need a pull request your own repository. You can just like update it on your own time since it's your code, right? So. I don't know if you can put the tag, maybe there's a special way where they know how to identify their own tag versus like random person putting a tag on it. But I mean, I don't recommend doing that. If you want to try it, you could and see if you get a shirt or whatever. But I mean, I think it's just more interesting and like more fun to be able to contribute to projects in a more legitimate way. But hey, if you want to try it and let us know if it works, we can maybe game the system next time and get a bunch of free shirts.
Let us know about your project, then we can contribute to it.
Yeah, maybe it's a really good project, and
okay, it's an Android project, Android library. Have you guys heard of SAF? It's new file system library starting on Android 11. It's called.
Wait, maybe you could link in the chat, and we can all take a look at it.
Cool.
I just wanted to point out that if you visit our website and you can click on the speakers and it will direct you to their LinkedIn. So feel free to read up about them and what they do.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I think if there's no lingering questions, I think we can end the meeting.
Okay, thank you all for coming. This meeting is recorded, so if there's like some information you forgot, you guys can watch it again. And if you have any, if you want to discuss with us, we leaders on the Discord have a tag, like DA developers or something, so you can identify us and talk to us. So if you have any help, you can ask us questions and stuff, feel free. And yeah, so we're gonna have speakers very soon. You guys can start looking at the projects that the hackathon projects, look at it and see if there's any code that you can improve and stuff. And again, we have videos on how to do how to use GitHub on our resources section. We're gonna have a speaker on it. If you have questions, you can ask us. So yeah, so now just get started. Just find a project, start coding, try to make contributions, make pull requests.
Yeah, I'll stay over to answer any off recording questions.
You want to stop the recording now?
I'll just flash the schedule real quick so you guys can see what's coming up. So here you go. 1 p.m. would be the first workshop. The links are attached on this document, which is available in the workshop text channel. So you can just click it and you'll be able to access all the Zoom links over there. That's all I have.
Ryan, real quick, there's a good question in the chat. I honestly don't know the answer to it.
I think we should probably stick to Hacktoberfest 2020.
You said stick to 2020?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yusuf linked an FAQ in the chat. So yeah, unless Ryan, unless you have a specific answer, I think that's the best way to check. So I don't see a reason why they would reject 2019 ones after they accepted them last year. But yeah, I just recommend, if we're on the safe side, try to do 2021s and try to do ones in the list. So anyway, thank you all. Ezekiel, if you want to stop the recording, we'll be here for 10-15 minutes. If you guys have questions you want to ask outside of the recording. So thank you all.